Welcome back to another episode of the Bonsai Blacksmith. Today we're going to talk about different types of oaks in the fall and how they're different. And before me I have a different variety of oaks with some other things you probably should ignore. Here we have the northern red oak, the Quercus rubra. Here we have the Quercus alba, also known as the white oak or the charter oak or the Connecticut oak. Then we have a special guest. This is Quercus robur, which is the cork oak, the Portuguese evergreen oak. It's the zone 8 oak, which I keep indoors in the winter. And then we have the distant cousin, Fagus, the beech over here. That's just the cousin, so ignore the beech, the Fagus grandifolia. I also have some acorns here from the northern red oak, but I'm not going to germinate them until the spring, as the natural order wants me to. But what I have here might interest you. And here I've germinated white oak acorns that I collected from an oak that was planted in the 1790s here in Maine. That means I know this oak's genetics survive in Maine and the temperatures that we have here, because 200 years ago Maine was much colder than it is right now. So this tree has survived all that. It still looks healthy. I'll send you there'll be a picture of it earlier on in the video at the introduction. One of those, the white oak in those pictures, is the acorns I collected here. So they've actually sprouted their tap roots, which makes the white oak and the whole variety of white oaks in general, because oaks are divided between the red oak group and the white oak group. And then the biggest difference is how they germinate, really, because the white oak will actually send out a taproot in the fall when the acorn falls, and it can make an acorn in one season, where like the northern red oak and the red oak group takes 2 seasons to mature the acorns, and they don't put out their taproots until the spring, which is, I think, why red oaks and northern red oaks do better than white oaks in Maine, because they just adjust better. Even though the white oak stays dormant, it just keeps the taproot out during winter. In my opinion, you're really putting a lot of risk on that organism by giving it a deep freeze of actually -20 or more here in Maine, which we do see occasionally. So I think that's why the white oaks have trouble migrating further north in Maine. Southern Maine, you see them in here and there near the New Hampshire border, not a problem. Northern Maine, it's dominated by the red oak, because the bark is kind of reddish. The wood inside's a little bit, has like a pink reddishness to it compared to the white oaks. That's why that is. I will say that this Yamadori red oak I collected, I did a video on earlier, it was this color of this oak here. This is also northern red oak. It was this kind of red, but it faded before this one did. I'm not sure. This is where I collected these were 2 different altitudes and 2 different, sunlight exposures. I think that's why the one dormant slightly earlier than the other. That's my explanation for that. Now here I have white oak, 1-year-old white oak saplings that I'm going to most likely just pot for now and put them in an insulated space for the winter. And then I also have to show you how I plant these. So let me give you a new view for that. Let's look in here and see how these acorns are sprouting. Oh, they're quite industrious. We have a bunch of sprouted acorns in here, as you can see. Now these are the white oak, or the Quercus alba. And this is the red oak, the northern red oak, or the Quercus rubra. So you can see the difference of the acorns side by side. Massive difference. The cap comes off easily, and that's what the inside of the northern red oak looks like, of the acorn. So we have at least, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's like a 90% germination rate, almost 100% here. I'm going to go ahead and put them into here and let them germinate. Now they say that they keep growing this taproot until the cold interrupts them in the winter. So I'm going to put most of them in this pot. I'm going to take one of them and put them under the grow light next to the evergreen oaks and see how long that taproot will grow until see if it pushes out leaves without the winter cycle. So that's going to be like a personal experiment. So let's get these potted up. So I have an old cat treats container that my mother gifted me. So I'm going to use that as the experimental acorn pot. I will put holes in it later, but for now, just for the taproot's sake, I want to see how crazy this taproot goes. I'm going to pack that soil in. Let me take the strongest of them, the longest of the taproots, this guy here. Now, there is some thought about how you position this. A lot of people say straight down. You get straighter oaks. Some say if you want a more interesting looking oak, planted sideways on its side. For the sake of bonsai, for the sake of this taproot going down, I'm going to go side with nature and go down. Now, that's technically sideways if you think about it, because that's the side of the acorn and the root's going straight down. So I'm doing both. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that up. Bury it just a little bit like so. I'm going to give it a little bit of a spritzing on top. Not too much because there's no way for the water to get out right now. Just enough to dampen it down, and so that penetrates to the lower level so the root feels comfortable going deeper. But this will also control the root from going too deep. There are some also other people that have talked about the white oak, and they say that the most white oak will send a taproot down 4 meters or 12 feet before it stops, and then it'll work solely on radial or horizontal rooting. So that's something to consider. Also, when you grow, I had talked about this now, when you grow multiple white oaks together, they do like to graft their roots together. So if you make like a white oak forest for bonsai, or grow them together closely, say if you have like a truffle orchard, you may want to consider a little bit more spacing if you want to have some areas between the roots to be able to, say, harvest truffles, or you don't want to choke the trees out. But they will work together, where they'll graft the roots, and they'll also be more of a symbiotic organism, multiple organisms working in unison. So let me fill up this pot here, get that started. Just bear with me for a moment. I want that mostly full because these seeds don't have much of a taproot yet. I'll put all of them in there and see if they'll pop up or not. The chances are they will. Chances they'll keep going because I'll bring this pot in and out of the night air. It won't freeze, so it'll miss the first 30 days of freezes. Now, we're not freezing yet at night here in Zone 5. It's getting close. Last week we had soft frost, so like the leaves got like a little icing on them, but the ground didn't freeze. We know hard frost as of yet. But when the hard frosts start, they won't be during the day, of course, so as long as you bring these in at night, the hard frost won't hit you because the place it'll be is insulated. Plus, I also have a wood stove. So I think that's going to probably be enough soil there. Let's go ahead and plant these other white oaks and try to work with their taproots here a little bit. Bury them slightly, not too much. You don't want them to have too much to overcome, but you want them to be able to feel insulated in their environment. Let's get the taproot coming out now. Put that right in there. Something fun about planting acorns. It reminds me of my childhood. Let's see. Although I can't recall what oak trees we used to have where I grew up. There we go. They weren't these oak trees, that's for sure. There we go. And one more to go. That's starting to put out a taproot. So we do have a 100% germination rate on these acorns I collected from that 230-year-old white oak. All right, let's get some water on those. And let me introduce you to the others on this table real quick, just as a quick recap of what's going on and show you how these oaks are different from each other in my collection. So you all know this Yamadori red oak I collected a month ago. There's some black cherries, and ash, and a red oak. Here we got some white oaks, 5 of them, but they've gone completely dormant. You can just see the buds up here. I'm going to bury those into a pot individually. And here's the star of the show. This is the Portuguese Cork Bark. I put it in a new pot, but I haven't pruned it yet for bonsai. Just kind of let it thicken up some in its new pot. But you can see how this doesn't look like the other oaks. It's got much smaller leaves, almost look like holly leaves. But this will lose its leaves throughout the year, but grow new ones immediately afterwards. So that's why they call that an evergreen oak. We'll definitely do a video about this once it thickens up. All right, so that's my quick introduction to oaks, between the different groups of oaks and how they're different. This is just a quick overview. There are other differences I didn't go into depth about, but I will in the future. So if you have any questions about what you saw today or any comments, please feel free to share in the comment section below. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And consider liking and subscribing for more support. There will be follow-ups on everything you see here today, between the Portuguese Cork Bark Oak, the white oak seedlings here for the truffle orchard, the red oak bonsai, and Yamadori, the collected red oak, and also, of course, the cousin beech over here that you can't see. And also what happens to these acorns, the white oak acorns, what will happen to the red oak acorns in the spring, and what happens to this test acorn that I continue growing throughout winter, and see if it matters for the first year or not. So until next time, take care.